The insurance claim notification hit my phone at 2:47 a.m. while I was reviewing flight schedules in the operations center. I'm Lieutenant Commander Frankie Talbot, 32 years old, Navy aviator currently stationed at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida. Been deployed here for 8 months running joint operations with the Air Force. The notification made no sense. Auto insurance claim filed. Vehicle total loss. Date of incident, March 15, 2024. Location, Austin, Texas. I stared at the screen. March 15th was yesterday. I'd been in Florida for the past 8 months straight. My car was parked in long-term storage at Norfolk Naval Base in Virginia. Had been since my started. The claim amount showed $23,847. My 2019 Honda Civic wasn't worth that much even when new. I opened the insurance app. The claim details loaded slowly on the base Wi-Fi. Police report number. Tow truck receipt. Photos of a mangled silver sedan that definitely wasn't mine. The license plate was wrong. The VIN number was wrong. But somehow my policy number was correct. My hand stayed steady as I scrolled through the documentation. Someone had filed a fraudulent claim using my information. The question was who had access to my policy details. I thought about my old roommate from Fort Hood, Darius Kellerman. We'd shared an apartment off base for 6 months before my transfer. He'd helped me organize my paperwork when I got orders, had access to my filing cabinet, knew my insurance company. But Darius was supposed to be my friend. The claim showed an Austin address I didn't recognize. 4127 Riverside Drive, Apartment 3B. I pulled up Google Maps. The location was 12 miles from Fort Hood. 12 miles from where Darius was still stationed. I screenshot everything. The timestamps, the photos, the fake VIN number. Then I called my insurance company's fraud hotline. This is Lieutenant Commander Talbot. I need to report a fraudulent claim on my policy. The representative pulled up my account. Sir, I show a claim filed yesterday for total loss of your vehicle in Austin, Texas. Were you not involved in this incident? I'm deployed in Florida, have been for 8 months. My car is in storage in Virginia. Silence on the line. Then typing. Sir, I'm going to transfer you to our Special Investigations Unit. Please hold. While on hold, I checked my credit monitoring app. 3 new inquiries in the past week, all from Texas. All from companies I'd never heard of. Someone was busy using my identity. The Special Investigations Unit picked up. I explained the situation again. They opened a case file, gave me a reference number, told me they'd investigate. But I knew I couldn't wait for their investigation. I had to find out how deep this went. The next morning I called Tech Sergeant Martinez from my unit. She'd helped me with identity theft cases before. Knew the digital forensics side better than anyone. Martinez, I need a favor. Someone's using my information to file insurance claims. Can you walk me through tracking this? Absolutely, sir. First thing, pull your credit reports from all 3 bureaus. Look for accounts you didn't open. Then check your banking apps for any unusual activity. I logged into my credit union app first. My checking account showed normal activity. Direct deposit from the Air Force. Automatic payments for my storage unit and car insurance. Nothing suspicious. But my savings account was different. 3 withdrawals in the past month. Each for exactly $847. All processed at ATMs in Austin, Texas. The timestamps showed they happened during my duty hours here at MacDill. Someone had my debit card information. I called the credit union's fraud department. Explained I was deployed. Hadn't been to Texas in 8 months. They froze my accounts immediately. Started a fraud investigation. Sir, these withdrawals were made with your PIN number. Do you know who might have access to that information? I thought back to Fort Hood. Darius had watched me enter my PIN at the commissary. Multiple times. He'd joked about my birthday being too obvious for a security code. My birthday. 0814. The same PIN I'd used for years. I have a suspect, I told the fraud investigator. Former roommate, had access to my personal information. They took down Darius's details. Promised to investigate. But I knew banks move slowly. I needed more. I called my car insurance company next. Asked for the complete claim file on the fraudulent accident. They emailed me everything within an hour. The police report was detailed. Single vehicle accident on Interstate 35. Driver fled the slit. Witnesses described a male, approximately 6 feet tall, brown hair. The description matched Darius perfectly. But the most interesting detail was the tow truck receipt. The vehicle had been towed to Henderson's Auto Salvage on the east side of Austin. I looked up their website. They specialized in buying damaged vehicles for parts. Someone had staged an accident, filed an insurance claim, then sold the wreckage for additional profit. I called Henderson's Auto Salvage directly. "Yeah, we got that silver Camry last week," the owner confirmed. Guy said he bought it from insurance auction, paid cash, took the and left. "Can you describe him?" "Tall guy. Military haircut. Had all the paperwork in order." Military haircut. That narrowed it down. I pulled up Darius's Facebook profile. His most recent photos showed him at various Austin locations. Bars. Restaurants. Always with cash in his hands. Always looking prosperous for an enlisted soldier's salary. His timeline showed a pattern. Every few weeks, he'd post about "good luck" or unexpected windfalls. The dates aligned perfectly with suspicious activity on my accounts, but I needed more than social media posts. I called my old landlord from Fort Hood. Mrs. Chen had managed our apartment complex. She remembered both of us. "Oh yes, Darius. He moved out right after you deployed. Left forwarding address as 4127 Riverside Drive, the same address from the fraudulent insurance claim." "Mrs. Chen, did he leave anything behind, any mail forwarding?" "Actually, yes. He set up mail forwarding for both apartments. Said he was handling your mail while you were deployed. I thought that was nice of him." My stomach dropped. Darius had been intercepting my mail for 8 months. Every bank statement. Every credit card offer. Every piece of financial correspondence. I asked Mrs. Chen to email me copies of the forwarding paperwork. Darius had forged my signature on the postal forms. The handwriting was close, but not perfect. Now I had a clear picture. Darius had used my as cover for identity theft. He'd intercepted my mail, memorized my PIN, filed fraudulent insurance claims, opened credit accounts in my name. The question was how many accounts he'd opened. I spent the next 3 hours on the phone with credit monitoring services. The damage was extensive. 7 credit cards opened in my name. 2 auto loans. 1 personal loan for $15,000. All with Austin addresses. All opened after my began. The total fraudulent debt exceeded $47,000. But Darius had made one critical mistake. He'd used his real phone number as the contact for 3 of the accounts. I had that number from our Fort Hood days. I called Tech Sergeant Martinez back. Explained what I'd found. "Sir, this is federal wire fraud, interstate identity theft. You need to contact the FBI. What about military justice? He's still active duty. Both systems will want him, but FBI handles the financial crimes. They'll coordinate with military police." I called the FBI's Austin field office. Spoke with Special Agent Rebecca Torres. She specialized in identity theft cases involving military personnel. Lieutenant Commander Talbot, based on what you're describing, we're looking at multiple federal charges: wire fraud, mail fraud, identity theft, bank fraud. This could be 15 to 20 years in federal prison. Agent Torres opened a case file, assigned it priority status because of the military connection. She wanted me to fly to Austin for a formal interview. "Agent Torres, I'm deployed. Can't leave my post without orders. I'll coordinate with your command. This investigation takes precedence. We need your testimony to build the case." 2 days later, I had temporary leave orders. My commanding officer had spoken directly with the FBI. The case was moving fast. But as I packed for Austin, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Heard you've been asking questions about me. We should talk." Darius knew I was investigating him. I screenshot Darius's text and forwarded it to Agent Torres immediately. Her response came within minutes. "Do not respond. Do not engage. This is witness intimidation. We're accelerating the timeline." The flight to Austin took 4 hours. Agent Torres met me at the airport. Mid-40s. Sharp suit. No-nonsense handshake. "Lieutenant Commander, your former roommate just made our case stronger. That text message shows consciousness of guilt." We drove to the FBI field office. Torres briefed me on their investigation progress. They'd been tracking Darius for 2 weeks since my initial call. "We've identified 12 victims, all military personnel, all deployed overseas. Your case has the most financial damage, but he's been running this scheme for 8 months. The FBI had obtained warrants for Darius's phone records, bank surveillance footage, credit application documents. The burr was overwhelming. "Agent Torres, how did he get my personal information?" "Mail theft. He intercepted your bank statements at Fort Hood before you deployed, photographed your driver's license while you slept, recorded you entering your PIN at the base ATM. The systematic nature of his betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Months of planning, watching, waiting for me to deploy. Torres led me to an interview room, set up recording equipment, spent 3 hours documenting every detail of my relationship with Darius, our Fort Hood assignment, his financial struggles, his access to my personal documents. We're going to arrest him tomorrow, but we want to try something first." Torres explained their plan. A controlled phone call. Me calling Darius while FBI agents recorded everything. The goal was getting him to admit the fraud on tape. What if he doesn't confess? Then we arrest him anyway. But a recorded confession makes prosecution easier. I agreed to make the call. Torres connected me to Detective Johnson from the State Bureau's Regional Cybercrime Consortium. Johnson specialized in military identity theft cases. He'd worked with the FBI on similar investigations. "Lieutenant Commander, we've seen this pattern before. Deployed service members are perfect targets. You're overseas, can't monitor your credit, can't respond quickly to suspicious activity." Detective Johnson had tracked Darius's digital footprint, IP addresses, online banking logins, credit application timestamps. Everything pointed to systematic fraud. He was careful, used different computers, different locations. But he made mistakes, used his real phone number, his real address on some applications. The FBI set up the recorded call for the next morning. I'd call Darius from their office. Agents would monitor every word. That night, I stayed at a hotel near the FBI building, couldn't sleep, kept thinking about Fort Hood, how Darius had seemed like a friend, how he'd helped me pack for, how he'd been planning to rob me the entire time. My phone buzzed at 2:17 a.m. Another text from Darius. "Frankie, I know you're in Austin. We need to meet. I can explain everything." I forwarded the message to Torres immediately. Her response was swift. "He's panicking. This is perfect. Don't respond." The next morning, I arrived at the FBI office at 8 a.m. Torres had assembled a team. 3 agents. Detective Johnson, a federal prosecutor named Sarah Chen. "Lieutenant Commander, we're going to arrest Darius today regardless, but if we can get him to confess on tape, it strengthens our case significantly." Prosecutor Chen explained the charges: wire fraud, mail fraud, identity theft, bank fraud, aggravated identity theft. The federal sentencing guidelines called for 12 to 15 years in prison. The military will also court-martial him, conduct unbecoming, theft, fraud. He'll face dishonorable discharge and additional prison time. At 10:30 a.m. I made the call. Darius answered on the second ring. "Frankie, I've been waiting for you to call." "Darius, what the hell did you do?" "Look, I can explain. I was desperate. My mom needed surgery. I couldn't get a loan." "So you stole my identity?" "I borrowed it. I was going to pay everything back before you returned from." Agent Torres nodded. gestured for me to keep him talking. "Darius, there's $47,000 in fraudulent debt. How were you planning to pay that back?" "I had a plan. I was working extra shifts, selling my car. I just needed more time." "You opened 7 credit cards in my name." I know it was wrong, but I was desperate." The conversation continued for 23 minutes. Darius admitted to intercepting my mail, using my personal information, opening multiple accounts, filing false insurance claims. Everything was recorded. When I hung up, Agent Torres was smiling. "That's a full confession. We have him." 2 hours later, FBI agents arrested Darius at his apartment in Austin. Detective Johnson coordinated with military police at Fort Hood. Darius was taken into federal custody. The search of his apartment revealed boxes of stolen mail, credit cards in multiple names, bank statements from 12 different victims, a notebook with personal information for dozens of deployed service members. Prosecutor Chen filed federal charges that afternoon. The cards was overwhelming. Darius's recorded confession, financial records, surveillance footage, victim testimony. His defense attorney contacted the prosecutor's office within 48 hours. Darius wanted to plead guilty. The plea hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. I testified via video link from MacDill Air Force Base. Described the financial damage, the emotional impact, the violation of trust. Darius received 14 years in federal prison, dishonorable discharge from the Army, restitution orders totaling $340,000 across all victims. But the case didn't there. Agent Torres asked me to help with victim outreach. 12 service members had been targeted. Most were still deployed. Many didn't know they'd been victimized. I spent 2 weeks calling fellow service members, explaining what had happened, helping them contact credit agencies, filing fraud reports, documenting their losses. The total damage exceeded $340,000. Darius had been running the scheme for 8 months, targeting deployed personnel from Fort Hood, using their schedules to time his fraud. Detective Johnson's Cybercrime Consortium used our case to develop new protocols, better monitoring for deployed service members, faster response to identity theft reports, coordination between military and civilian law enforcement. 6 months later, I received a letter from the federal prison where Darius was serving his sentence. He wanted to apologize, express remorse, ask for forgiveness. I never responded. The financial institutions involved in the fraud implemented new security measures, enhanced verification for military personnel, automatic fraud alerts for deployed service members, better coordination with military finance offices. I partnered with credit bureaus to offer no-cost fraud alerts for deployed military personnel. The program launched 6 months after Darius's conviction, but the real victory was justice. 14 years in federal prison, full restitution, a dishonorable discharge that would follow him forever. Darius had betrayed not just me, but 12 fellow service members, people who trusted him, people who served their country while he robbed them blind. The investigation revealed the full scope of his operation: systematic mail theft, document forgery, identity trafficking. He'd planned to expand the scheme to other military bases. Agent Torres called it one of the most sophisticated military identity theft cases she'd ever prosecuted. 12 months later, I was back at MacDill Air Force Base. Permanent duty station. No more deployments for a while. The Florida heat felt different now. Familiar. Safe. My new apartment had a secure mailbox, digital locks, security cameras in the lobby. I checked my credit reports weekly. Old habits from hard lessons. The victim support program I helped establish was running smoothly. 43 deployed service members had received fraud alerts in the past year. 17 cases of attempted identity theft were stopped before any damage occurred. Detective Johnson sent quarterly updates. The Regional Cybercrime Consortium had expanded to 12 states. Military identity theft cases dropped by 60% in targeted regions. Agent Torres was promoted to Supervisory Special Agent. She still called occasionally, checking in, sharing success stories from other cases. The financial institutions continued their enhanced security protocols. Military personnel received automatic fraud monitoring during deployments. The system worked. I received a letter from Staff Sergeant Martinez last month. One of Darius's victims. He'd recovered his full losses, bought a house with his wife, started a family. The fraud hadn't destroyed his future. That letter meant more than any commendation. My new roommate was a Navy petty officer named Chen. Quiet. Reliable. We split utilities down the middle. No shared accounts, no borrowed documents. Trust but verify. The nightmares had stopped months ago. Sleep came easier now. Dreams were just dreams. I kept Darius's prison letter in my desk drawer. Unread. Unopened. Some apologies weren't worth hearing. The real closure came from helping others, preventing future victims, building better systems, making the military community safer. Last week, I received notification that the final restitution payment had been processed. All victims were made whole. The case was officially closed. I deleted the notification without saving it. Some chapters needed to completely. Saturday mornings I ran along Tampa Bay. 5 miles, same route every week. The water was calm. The air was clean. No alerts on my phone. No suspicious calls. No unexpected visitors. Just peace. The fraud protection systems we'd built would outlast my military career. Other service members would deploy safely, their identities protected, their trust preserved. That was the real victory. Darius would serve 12 more years. His dishonorable discharge was permanent. His criminal record would follow him forever. Justice had been served completely. I'd learned to trust again. Carefully, wisely, but genuinely. The betrayal had taught me vigilance without paranoia, caution without fear, strength without bitterness. My phone buzzed with a text from Chen. Dinner plans. Normal roommate conversation. No hidden agendas. No secret schemes. I replied and put the phone away. The sun was setting over Tampa Bay. Orange light reflected off the water. The base was quiet. Peaceful. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.